For more than 30,000 years, the Khoi and San people, more commonly known as the Hottentots and Bushmen, have lived in the area now known as Botswana. They've existed by living off the land, collecting wild plants, insects, birds and small animals, and also by hunting larger animals with lightweight bows and poisoned arrows. There are still around 35,000 of these people, roughly half of whom still live with the old customs and traditions. In the northwestern corner of Botswana, between the Okavango River and the Namibian border, there's a collection of art made by these indigenous people that dates back to the Stone Age. Known as the Louvre of the desert, the Cedilla Hills boast one of the highest concentrations of rock paintings in the world. In an area of some 10 square kilometres, there are over 4,500 paintings. In addition, archaeological evidence provides a record of human activities that stretches back about 100,000 years. The paintings are executed in red ochre derived from the hematite in the local rock. Much of the art is naturalistic in subject and characterised by a variety of geometric symbols, distinctive treatment of the human figure and exaggerated body proportions of many animals. For example, the rhinos painted here have very large bodies and disproportionately small legs. The art is not very well dated. Although some of the art could be very old, much of it could also be relatively more modern. There are, however, a few clues that do allow us to date the art with a degree of accuracy. For example, we can say that images with cattle are slightly more recent than some of the other paintings, as cattle were introduced to the region after the 6th century AD. Therefore, anything with a cow in it is generally regarded as dating from around 600 to 1200 AD. The latest of the paintings are dated to the 19th century on oral evidence. The present-day local communities arrived as recently as about 1860. Nevertheless, Tsodilo still holds special significance for the local people, who recognise this site as a place of worship frequented by ancestral spirits. In recognition of the international significance of the area's art and archaeology, the site has been a designated UNESCO World Heritage Site since 2001. Today, local churches and traditional doctors travel to Tsodilo for prayers and the 2 M's, meditation and medication. The rock art of northern Botswana is often overlooked by foreign travellers who usually focus on viewing the country's wildlife. The majority of visitors to the site are indigenous people who come for religious reasons. It's interesting to compare the rock paintings of Tsodilo with rock engravings at Twyfelfontein in Namibia. The two sites are roughly 800 kilometres apart, and although this initially sounds like a large distance, it's actually about a month's walk if you consider that these Bushmen roamed for about 30 kilometres a day. As the Bushmen were nomadic and covered very large distances, it seems probable that the people who created the art at Tsodilo were aware of the art at Twyfelfontein. The rock engravings, or petroglyphs as they're known, at Twyfelfontein are generally older than the paintings at Tsodilo, with the engravings being about 6,000 to 2,000 years old. The site of the Namibian engravings is significant to understanding their meaning. These petroglyphs are situated around a natural spring. In the dry season, nomadic hunters would have gathered here at the reliable water source and engaged in various rituals which are linked to these images engraved in the rock. Geometric patterns in particular are likely to be connected with shamanistic rituals, where the shaman would enter a trance and see patterns of light. Perhaps an interpretation of these visionary patterns is what we now see recorded for eternity in the rock. Apart from the geometric designs, the early artists at both Twyfelfontein and Tsodilo depicted the world around them, as we can see from the many images of animals. We can draw a few parallels in the style of the images of animals at both sites. For example, the exaggerated features of the creatures mentioned earlier at Tsodilo can also be seen in the petroglyphs at Twyfelfontein. as we can see in the case of this so-called dancing kudu image, where the antelope's long legs are splayed dramatically in all directions. Southern Africa has some incredible ancient rock art. Much of it is set amongst stunning scenery. Both sites mentioned here are certainly well worth a visit if you ever get the chance.
Hi!
Very good.
Welcome to Bushman Paintings.
Excellent.
The painting still exists, but nobody knows that what kind of a painting that the Bushman was using. Some of the using, they think that it must be maybe the blood of an animal that they mix with sort of a certain trees and mix with the rocks and so. But that it doesn't say that it can last for such as that while, because as you see here, even on the side here, you can see water dust coming in here. But the painting still exists.
Still there.
Yeah, and even if you touch a little bit, it have to be in a sign of say it's something that have been put it up there. Because I mean, blood it can't be that strong for the rocks for lasting for such as that while at all. But nobody knows, and you won't find any Bushman with that age of say, hey guys, what kind of painting what you were using. So it's like that.